Carl Jung, The Value of Silence, Loneliness, and Solitude. Solitude for me is a fount of healing, which makes life worth living. Carl Jung. Silence, loneliness, and solitude. These words are basic ingredients of life and one of the fundamental aspects of the human condition. Silence, loneliness, and solitude are the key and inevitable fact of human existence. A way of being that can only be discovered when we value silence, welcome loneliness, and enter into solitude. Each of us is a unique individual with a particular way of being and responding to life. Because we can only find our inner supports when we're by ourselves, and in this discovery, we learn about the indestructible substance of our existence. Carl Jung regarded solitude and quiet as the highest and most definitive experience of all. The opportunity to search for oneself, discover new life, and develop self-awareness can also be found in silence and aloneness. In addition to being specific and individual to each person, the feeling of aloneness and isolation is a thirst for life that is indescribably intense. Experiences of solitude and loneliness are essential components of living consciously because they foster self-sufficiency and self-discovery. Without spending time alone oneself, we can never genuinely mature, mend the scars from our earlier years, or form our personalities. We individuate less and serve the broader objectives of the cosmos for which we were so mysteriously produced, as we enmesh ourselves with others and look outside of ourselves. Your specific collection of abilities, talents, and personalities is unique to you. And it's each of our soul's tasks to acknowledge this. It doesn't occur unless you're alone. According to Carl Jung, the unconscious comes to life when we're by ourselves. We can start to connect with life within us and release our range of inner energy when we shift our attention away from the outside world and the people in it. Another reason solitude is necessary for leading a meaningful life is that it serves as a spring of power and creativity. By accepting the challenge of enduring loneliness, we demonstrate our strength to ourselves. The creative powers that reside within us confront us. We also learn about our inner wisdom, our spring of guidance and insight. The individual who has regenerated via isolation has a far more precise sense of purpose and a reliable inner compass for navigating through whatever adventures life may have in store. In contrast, others may wonder why they are alive, their mission, or where to go. How to manage isolation and loneliness. It can be challenging to master solitude and stillness, especially when one's going through the dark night of the soul. However, it would be best to take responsibility for yourself because it's the only way to discover the meaning of life. Step 1. First, you know that no one else can see who you are or what you're made of. You make a significant step toward maturation by realizing and accepting this truth. Step 2 is to accept your loneliness. Accept your loneliness on an emotional level. Seize the opportunity to endure the unbearable. By doing this, you release the grip of the primordial fear that controls a large portion of your existence. You understand that you possess sustenance, cheer, assistance, comfort, and faith. Step 3. Take your time and meditate on yourself. Inner quiet might reveal hidden energy reserves that you were unaware you had. You must wait, be patient, and be silent while communing with yourself to be attuned. For people enduring loneliness due to the dark night of the soul, this period may be the most challenging. It could seem like this phase lasts forever. You will experience the sensation of falling through an eternal void. You might worry whether it'll ever end because it can be frightening. However, when you allow yourself to break through the stillness and reach your lowest point, a state of despair or sadness that appears impossible, you will strike the wall and bottom out. You will eventually start to feel an inner guide, possibly an inner voice, an inner law, or inner energy. You will let go of everything that restricts your development or distorts your perception. We also start recognizing the projections, obsessions, and ingrained behaviors that have ruined your happiness. We can admit that we did not meet our fundamental needs for mirroring, self-validation, and our need for love was not satisfied growing up. Slowly, though, we start to accept and like ourselves and feel that the self is present and trustworthy. We peel back the layers of persona material, all the masks and postures we thought we had to adapt to be deemed acceptable, which never did succeed in achieving that goal. The trick is to be true to yourself while putting aside other people's opinions, actions, and potential perceptions of you. The worth of silence. Growth. We develop when we confront and wrestle with existential loneliness. We give birth to something new in ourselves when aligned with our inner existence. When we learn, not others, we can let go of the constricting patterns of our life and go toward new horizons. We are also aware of our unity with all life, and our spiritual world expands. In some tangible and intangible ways, we find new ways to be in and interact with the world. Authenticity. We learn the rules that are specific to the person we are as we struggle through the realities of our isolation. As our individuality develops, we know more about who we are and what we're made of by turning to our resources. It enables our inner energies to generate from that soul stuff the richest possible person we can be. We can be more authentic with ourselves and others as we discover who we are, even as we unwind in the knowledge that the self can be relied upon to guide our way and choose the direction that's best for us, which may not be what our ego desires. We may live more by our moral and ethical principles. We detect the distortions that were a characteristic of our previous perceptions and learn truths that have been hidden for a very long period. We can interact with others in a setting where we have clearer, more valid vision and comprehension. Most importantly, we cease relying on outside sources for self-validation and internalize a focus of authority. Creativity. The self's creativity is a fundamental attribute. Working with loneliness has several advantages, including creating newness in one's life, attitudes, self-image, relationships, and artistic and self-expression forms. It's an advantage that in many instances we can take for granted. It offers both financial gain and gratification for the individual. Strength. We find the courage to look at how things stand, and this gives us both freedom and an indestructible sense of security. By facing loneliness head-on and overcoming the problems it presents, knowing we have everything we need to deal with life's challenges inside us, gives us the fortitude to push through and live each day to the fullest.